Laws are meant to be kept. Kill her, kill her. The voices of self-righteousness. During the time of Moses it was an unforgivable act, and at the range of the people they were desperate to keep to that law. But this time something changed, and that is Jesus. Join us as we uncover the story of a woman condemned by the people but found by grace. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel to get more enlightening biblical stories and deep insight of our unspoken histories. The morning streets of Jerusalem explode in chaos. A woman is violently dragged through the dust by religious leaders. Their fingers dig into her arms like iron claws. Her hair hangs wild across her tear-streaked face. Her dignity lies shattered somewhere behind her in the dirt. Eyes stare from every doorway. Whispers spread like wildfire through the crowd. Stones glint in angry fists, catching the early sunlight. Adulteress, someone shouts. She deserves death, another voice screams. The mob grows hungrier with each step, feeding on righteous fury. She tries to speak, but terror steals her voice. Her lungs burn. Her legs barely hold her weight as they shove her forward. In her mind, one overwhelming question beats like drums. Is this how my story ends? The temple courtyard opens before her, massive, ancient, final. And there, surrounded by listeners, stands a silent figure teaching under the morning sky. The mob drags her toward him. Everything is about to change. Jesus looks up as the mob crashes into his peaceful teaching circle. Dust rises. Voices clash. His students scatter backward in confusion. A Pharisee steps forward, theatrical and proud. His robes are perfect. His beard is carefully groomed. His eyes burn with something that isn't quite righteousness. Teacher, he shouts, making sure everyone hears. This woman was caught in adultery, caught in the very act. Whispers ripple through the growing crowd like wind through wheat. Some gasp. Some nod with grim satisfaction. Judgment rises in the air like smoke. Moses commanded us to stone such women. The Pharisee continues, his voice dripping with challenge. What do you say? The question hangs heavy. Every eye turns to Jesus, waiting. But Jesus doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he does something strange, something that makes everyone uncomfortable. He kneels down slowly and begins writing in the dust with his finger. The crowd leans in, confused and unsettled. What is he writing? Why now? The silence grows thick and suffocating. She kneels in the dirt, trembling violently. Shame wraps around her like chains crushing her chest. Her hair covers her face, but she feels every stare burning through her like fire. The voices continue above her head, sharp, cutting, merciless. She broke God's law. She deserves what's coming. There's no escape for her kind. Each word stabs deeper. Each accusation confirms what she already believes about herself. She's worthless. Ruined. Beyond saving. Her thoughts spiral downward into darkness. If this Jesus, this teacher everyone talks about, if he condemns me too, then I'm truly finished. If even he agrees with them, there's no hope anywhere in this entire world. She risks a trembling glance upward through her tangled hair. Jesus continues writing in the dust, his finger moving deliberately. The Pharisees grow impatient, their questions becoming demands. But Jesus remains silent, kneeling, writing. Her heart hammers against her ribs. A leader grabs her by the arm and shoves her closer to Jesus, forcing her almost into his shadow. The Pharisees stand proud and righteous, pretending to care about God's law. But beneath their religious words lies something darker, calculated ambition twisted with hatred. This isn't about justice. This woman is just a tool. Their true target stands before them, Jesus. If he spares her, he contradicts Moses and loses credibility. If he condemns her, he betrays his own message of mercy and loses his followers. Either way, they believe they've finally trapped this troublesome rabbi. One Pharisee leans toward another, whispering with cold satisfaction, "We have him now. No escape." They smile, not with joy, but with cruel anticipation. They've planned this moment carefully, catching her deliberately, waiting for this exact opportunity. The woman kneels between them all, unaware she's merely bait in a larger trap. Her life matters nothing to these men except as ammunition against Jesus. One of them steps forward, stone already raised in his fist. His knuckles are white. His jaw is set. He's ready. The trap tightens. The moment builds. Heaven holds its breath. The leader's voice cuts through the courtyard like a blade. "Teacher," he sneers, his tone dripping with false respect. "Moses commands us to stone adulterers. The law is clear, absolute, unchangeable. What do you say?" The emphasis on "you" carries mockery and challenge. They're daring him to contradict scripture itself. Silence presses down on the courtyard like a physical weight. Every person present feels the tension crackling in the air. This is more than a question, it's a trap with iron jaws ready to snap shut. The crowd holds its breath. Some lean forward eagerly, hungry for drama. Others shift uncomfortably, sensing something dangerous unfolding. The woman remains frozen in the dust, her fate hanging by a thread thinner than spider silk. Jesus continues writing, his finger tracing mysterious words in the dirt that no one can quite read. The Pharisees exchange confused glances. Why won't he answer? Why this maddening silence? Then, slowly, painfully slowly, Jesus begins to rise to his feet. The courtyard falls even quieter, if that's possible. He's about to speak. Jesus stands at his full height now, looking across the faces gathered before him. His eyes move from accusers to followers to strangers to the terrified woman trembling in the dirt. When he speaks, his voice isn't loud, but it carries absolute authority that makes even the stones seem to listen. Let the one without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. The words slice through the air like light cutting through darkness. Gasps ripple through the crowd. What kind of answer is this? It sounds simple, almost too simple. But something about those words begins working inside each accuser's heart like a key turning in a rusted lock. The Pharisee holding the largest stone feels his hand suddenly grow impossibly heavy. Images flash unbidden through his mind, secret sins, hidden failures, moments is carefully buried beneath religious performance. Another accuser remembers yesterday's lie. Another recalls last week's greed. Another feels the crushing weight of pride is disguised as righteousness. Jesus kneels again, writing once more in the dust. One man's fingers tighten around his stone, then slowly begin to tremble. A stone drops from shaking fingers. The sound echoes across the courtyard like thunder breaking a silent sky. Then another stone falls, this one louder, more deliberate. The man holding it steps backward, his face pale as death. Then another. And another. Each thud becomes judgment turned back upon the accusers themselves, their own guilt exposed by Jesus' simple challenge. The oldest Pharisee, whose white beard speaks of decades of religious authority, looks down at the stone in his wrinkled hand. Memories flood his mind, years of small compromises, hidden sins, moments when mercy should have flowed but dried up in his hard heart. His fingers open slowly. The stone thuds against dirt. He turns and walks away, shoulders bent under invisible weight. One by one, the accusers retreat. Pride battles conscience, and for once, conscience wins. Some leave quickly, shame burning their faces. Others depart slowly, reluctantly. The crowd thins rapidly. But one man lingers, one final accuser who refuses to surrender. He stands defiant, stone gripped white-knuckled in his fist, jaw set with stubborn pride. The remaining man steps forward, defiance blazing in his eyes like unholy fire. He's younger than the others, his pride still intact, his heart still hard. You can't simply dismiss the law, he spits, his voice sharp with anger. Justice demands her death. God demands it. His hand tightens around the jagged stone. Unlike the others, guilt doesn't weaken his resolve, self-righteousness strengthens it. He's convinced his own purity outweighs his humanity. She sinned, he shouts. The law is the law. Jesus doesn't flinch. He simply stands there, calm, unmovable as ancient mountains, his eyes holding the young Pharisee's gaze with an intensity that makes the air itself seem to tremble. The man lifts his stone higher, preparing to throw. The woman gasps, covering her head with her arms. But Jesus takes a single step forward, not aggressive, just intentional. One step that somehow shifts the entire atmosphere. His presence radiates authority that needs no words, no threats, no violence. The Pharisee freezes mid-motion, his arm still raised, his confidence suddenly cracking. Jesus speaks softly, but his words carry the weight of eternity itself. Before you judge her, look within your own heart. The young Pharisee's face contorts. Something in those words reaches past his defenses, past his religious armor, straight into the hidden places he's carefully locked away. Images flood his mind unbidden, sins he thought no one knew about, thoughts he believed were invisible, moments of hypocrisy he justified and buried. His breathing quickens. Sweat beads on his forehead despite the cool morning air. The stone suddenly feels impossibly heavy, burning in his grip like hot coals. His arm begins to shake. His confidence crumbles like clay walls meeting floodwater. The righteous fury that fueled him moments ago dissolves into horrified self-awareness. He sees himself now, not as the righteous judge, but as another broken human desperate for mercy has never extended to others. His fingers loosen. The stone slips from his hand and hits the ground with a final, conclusive thud. He stumbles backward, then turns and flees, not walking, but running, as though demons chase him through Jerusalem's streets. The courtyard empties completely now. The mob that arrived burning with righteous fury departs scattered and silent, each person carrying their own conviction home like stones in their hearts. But the tension doesn't leave with them. Something still hangs heavy in the air, possibility, anticipation, the sense that heaven itself watches this moment. Only two people remain, a condemned woman still kneeling in the dust, expecting death, and a man who sees through her sin into something she's forgotten exists. Jesus turns his full attention to her now. The weight of his gaze feels completely different than the accuser's, not crushing, but somehow lifting. Not condemning, but considering with infinite care. She cannot look at him. Cannot speak. Cannot move. She simply kneels there, trembling, waiting for whatever verdict comes next. The silence stretches. Then Jesus speaks, his voice gentle but carrying the weight of eternity woven through each word. Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? The question hangs in the air like sunrise breaking through storm clouds, full of impossible hope. She lifts her head slowly, carefully, afraid of what she'll see. Her eyes scan the empty courtyard. No Pharisees, no mob, no stones waiting to crush her skull. Just empty space where judgment used to stand. Confusion and relief battle inside her chest. How is this possible? Moments ago, death was certain. Now, silence and space surround her like protective walls. She looks back at Jesus, meeting his eyes for the first time. What she finds there makes her breath catch, not judgment, but something that looks impossibly like compassion mixed with recognition, as though he sees not just who she is, but who she could become. Her voice emerges barely above a whisper, broken and uncertain. No one, Lord. The words feel fragile in her mouth. Is this real? Is she truly free from condemnation? Jesus steps closer, not threatening, just intentional. He kneels down, bringing himself to her level. When he speaks again, his voice is soft yet carries the weight of heaven and earth combined. Neither do I condemn you. The words strike her like lightning made of pure light. Her knees nearly give out completely. She gasps, a sound between sob and laughter, between disbelief and desperate hope flooding in. Neither do I condemn you. The death sentence she expected vanishes. The judgment she deserved disappears. Instead, mercy flows from this man's lips like water in a desert she didn't know she was dying in. Tears flood her eyes, blurring her vision. Her hands shake uncontrollably. Something inside her chest, something that felt permanently shattered, suddenly shifts, begins to heal. Freedom tastes strange and sweet on her tongue. She's forgotten what it feels like to breathe without shame crushing her lungs. But Jesus isn't finished speaking. He leans forward slightly, his eyes holding hers with fierce tenderness. Go, he says gently but firmly, like a father speaking to a beloved daughter. Leave this life of sin. The words aren't punishment, they're invitation. Not condemnation, transformation. She's being offered something she never dared imagine, the chance to become someone new. Not just freedom from death, but freedom from the patterns that led her here, from shame that's defined her. A spark of hope flickers inside her chest. She walks away trembling with gratitude, each step feeling impossibly light. The courtyard that nearly became her grave now feels like the birthplace of something new. But she doesn't notice the shadow watching from behind the temple pillars. A scribe named Zacchaeus stands hidden, his face twisted with fury. He watched everything, the mob's arrival, Jesus' strange words, the stones falling, the accusers fleeing. He saw mercy triumph over law, and it makes him sick with rage. This cannot stand. This woman should be dead. This Jesus should be exposed as the fraud Zacchaeus believes him to be. His mind races with dark schemes. If the Pharisees fail today, perhaps a different approach will succeed. Perhaps shame can accomplish what stones could not. This is not over, he whispers to himself, hatred dripping from every word. That woman will be our doorway. We will use her again, against him. His eyes narrow, memorizing her face, already planning his next move. A new danger rises, silent, calculating, patient. He slips deeper into the shadows and begins following her through the city streets. Days pass. The woman tries to return to normal life, but nothing feels normal anymore. She walks through the marketplace for the first time without stones weighing down her shoulders, but healing is harder than freedom. Every marketplace whisper sounds like accusation. Every stare burns like fire against her skin. Her mind knows she's forgiven, but her heart still flinches at shadows. She pulls her shawl tighter, trying to disappear. Old habits die slowly, painfully. Then she sees him across the fruit seller stand, her former lover, the other half of her sin. The man who should have been dragged to the temple beside her but wasn't. His face is full of guilt and terror. He approaches quickly, urgently, grabbing her arm and pulling her into a narrow alley away from listening ears. "You ruined everything," he hisses, his voice low and sharp. "They're watching me now too. My wife suspects. My business is suffering. All because of you." His anger isn't really about her, it's about his own guilt reflected back like an unwanted mirror. Then his expression shifts. "There's something you need to know," he whispers. "They never cared about you," he says, each word dropping like stones into still water. "You were bait. Jesus was the real target." The revelation hits her like a physical blow. Her knees weaken against the alley wall. "What?" "The whole thing, catching us, dragging you to the temple, demanding Jesus' judgment, it was all planned. Calculated. They used your sin to trap him." His voice carries bitter satisfaction, as though spreading pain somehow lessens his own. She stumbles backward. The truth reorders everything. Her humiliation wasn't just punishment, it was strategy. Her nearly being stoned wasn't justice, it was manipulation. They didn't care about God's law. They cared about destroying Jesus' influence. Her guilt doubles instantly. Not only did she sin, her sin became a weapon against the only person who showed her mercy. "Jesus," she whispers. "They're still trying to destroy him." Her former lover shrugs, already turning away. "That's not our problem. Stay away from me. Just disappear." He leaves her standing in the alley with terrible new knowledge burning in her chest. A shadow moves behind her. Zachor steps forward, blocking her escape. Zachor raises his voice, loud enough to draw the marketplace crowd. "She is unclean. She has no right to stand among us. This woman defiles God's people with her presence." People turn, stare, begin to gather. Whispers spread. Fingers point. The familiar weight of judgment crashes down on her shoulders again. Fear swallows her breath. This is it. The mercy was temporary. The stones are coming back. But then, cutting through the chaos like light through darkness, Jesus arrives. He stands between her and the gathering crowd once more, his presence shifting the atmosphere instantly. Zachor's confident cruelty falters. Jesus' voice rises with divine authority that makes the very air tremble. "You saw her sin," he says slowly, deliberately, "but I saw her heart." Silence falls like a curtain dropping. Her miracle wasn't survival, Jesus continues. It was resurrection, not of body, but of soul. She's being reborn. Her identity transforms in that moment. She's not the adulteress anymore. She's someone new. Someone with a future, not just a past. Someone with purpose, not just shame. She walks away reborn, not from punishment, but from shame itself. 6 powerful viral life lessons. Your worst moment doesn't erase your worth. Mercy sees deeper than mistakes. You are allowed to rise from what tried to destroy you. Shame is a prison, but identity in God is freedom. Not everyone who exposes your sin wants your healing. Transformation begins the moment you stop running from truth.